This early morning, let's explore the 50th quatrain of Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This morning, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as profoundly as Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Let's see, what button to tap now? Let's tap button 5, see if that works. We get to adjust the Word document. Here we go. Do not follow after the object of hatred. Watch the angry mind. Ask yourself what you dislike about your object of hate, and you'll never run out of answers. Ask who is feeling the hate, and that is a different matter entirely. Anger liberated by itself. Take 2. Anger liberated by itself as it arises is the clear void. Notice anger as you breath. That's a really interesting spelling, don't you think? Let's try that again. Notice anger as you breathe in, and it is quite vivid indeed. Relax into your exhalation, and you'll feel yourself releasing that self-same rage, as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention something. Do apologize for that. Let's see. If at any point during this morning's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, simply type your question in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. Or if you just want to say, Buenos dias. Let's see. Yes, let's hit button 5 again. The clear void is none other than mirror-like wisdom. The anger that you notice during your inhalation could transform into mirror-like wisdom when you relax into your exhalation. In the self-liberation of hatred recite the 6-syllable mantra. During your in-breath, you could silently and mentally recite how relax into the awareness of this rage. During your exhalation, you could physically relax as best you can while chanting Om Benza Sato Hungo Benza Sato Hungo Benza Sato Hungo Benza Sato Hung. And if you can think of a prettier tune, let me know. I'd love to hear it. But also, it has to be user-friendly tune because many of us are tone deaf. Having said that, I'm going to return to OBS, and I guess I'd like to answer a question from social media. Before I do that, I'm going to spend 1 minute on housekeeping. Every day, I broadcast 1 to 4 meditation class live streams here on YouTube without any ads, other than this reminder that with your assistance, this channel could help to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If you think that sounds pretty cool and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, simply use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code, or, if you're old school, scroll down into the description area and click one of the donation links. Whatever floats your boat. Now, let's take a gander at a question. And once again, this fits into the category of unsatisfying answers from Lama Jigme. Tap button 8. Okay. This is like the old talk show thing. Long time listener, first time caller. Let's see. Gotta push the right button. Here we go. So, Double R1 wrote, "Help! I don't understand what just happened. Hello, I've been a long time lurker here in our meditation. I've been inconsistent in my practice and I've never really gotten very deep meditative experiences before. But I found it beneficial at certain points in my life. Dear Penthouse, I never thought this would happen to me. Oops, wrong one. Let's continue. I've recently been reading a lot about NDEs and pre-life experiences. I've become convinced that this world is illusion, and it finally came together for me between all my prior research on Eastern religions and people's personal experiences. And that is exactly where I'm going to stop, because I'm evil that way." Okay, so there are many schools of meditation. Buddha is not the only flavor in town, and I've experimented with many schools of meditation. And I did it for selfish reasons. I have a lot of disabilities, and I was looking for some peace and some happiness and some good fortune. Sure, who wouldn't want their own personal lamp of Aladdin? So, experimented with a bunch of stuff. And I've experimented with them progressively and regressively. Regressive is just a nice way of saying a progressive way of viewing any set of teachings is to be flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, cooperative, and kind. A regressive approach towards any teaching is to be rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, competitive, and cruel. And I've experienced the whole spectrum of teachings through the whole spectrum of perception. Progressive and regressive. And what I found is that if one really wants a resilient peace, if one really wants to become so loving that you're like the person your dog already thinks you are, that rigidity and controlling tendencies cannot get you there. That type of love and peace is only available upon the path of flexibility and being laid back. So right off the bat, that disqualifies systems that are predicated upon belief. Because belief, any type of belief, is a form of rigidity. It is a rigidity of intellect, imagination, and emotion. And the path paved with rigidity might take you to many places. Peace is not one. Many people are taught to believe that this world is only an illusion, with the intention that doing so might help them to better let go. However, there is a fly in the ointment. What does that mean? Well, it means that although that might sound good on paper, using the rigidity of faith, using the grasping at an emotion or at an idea or an imagination to let go of other types of grasping is far too much like making love in the name of virginity. It's a fun way to spend an afternoon, but it's not going to get you towards your stated goals. So, what I've found is even within the Buddhist world, there are people who are regressive and those who are progressive, those who are literal-minded and those who are very open to the ideas of figures of speech. So the literal-minded people waste no time in becoming just as rigid as they can be. And pretty soon they become little Torquemadas waging their own personal inquisitions. Yuck! So you will always find some people who are very rigid and very enthusiastic and insist you must believe X, Y, and Z if you are to successfully join them on their path. I remember one time I was in a laundromat in San Diego County, and I was waiting for my stuff machine to do its deal. So I just sat down next to my machine and meditated. It seemed like a good use of time. And some guy approached me and said, "I'm really interested I'm curious about your about Buddhism. What are the tenets of belief that I must embrace?" And that question really comes from the worldview of belief and popularized by Christendom, that there are certain things that you must believe in order to be X, Y, or Z. So that's a common approach to any spiritual path. And that's one of the reasons why many people are frightened or put off of progressive Buddhism, because it just basically says, it's not about belief. It's about working with your mind in a productive way, in a way that helps you to increase your peace and your love. And to increase your peace and love in a way that increases your joy and resiliency. And then, of course, there are a wealth of techniques and things to play with to get you there. But so getting back to our friend who had some sort of an experience because he convinced himself that life was an illusion. The Buddha taught 7 enlightenment factors. The first one is mindfulness. No mindfulness, no enlightenment. And so here's the deal. If we play with beliefs that undermine our ability to practice perception vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, then we are basically it's like there's this club, and the club is peace. And the club, there's a doorman. And the doorman is our own preconceptions. And there's a velvet rope, and it's being placed in front of us, barring our entrance. And that velvet rope are perception limiting beliefs. If we just convince ourselves that everything is an illusion, or that this place isn't what it looks like, it's really a paradise, or this body isn't what it feels like, it's really made of light and it looks like a Buddha, or these words I'm hearing aren't really the way they sound, they're actually mantras, or my thoughts about cabbage or about kitty cats aren't really thoughts about cabbage or kitty cats, but they're just thoughts about emptiness in disguise, wearing a cloak. No. Those types of games, those types of beliefs, while they might sound very mystic and cool, and they might make you feel a little bit disassociated, that has nothing to do with mindfulness. Now, there are some people who got very excited about the word mindfulness and used it as a synonym for concentration, but that was a mistake. You see, concentration is regressive. It's the part of the toolkit of being rigid and fearful and controlling. I mean, what can be more controlling than saying, I will think about this, and I will not think about that? Mindfulness is the opposite. I'm going to sit here and just notice whatever is external or internal or physical or mental or pleasurable or painful or interesting or boring or glorious or grotesque. So completely different things. So that's, I can tie this up or do my best. I can tie this up in a big red bow. We cannot believe there is no sustainable way to believe ourselves out of stress. And trying to do so will do more harm to ourselves than good. Better to traverse the path of vulnerability and centeredness Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to do my mental checklist and see if there's any questions. Don't see any. So, let's go straight to this morning's chanting. Okay, let's enjoy the latest iteration of Diamond Mind's Easy Tantra. This is a meditation text, also known as a sadhana if you're nasty. We begin with preliminary practices, such as training the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. We will do so by chanting the recitations of bodhicitta and refuge. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We turn our attention now to mantra meditation, beginning by reviewing this mantra's meaning. Please continue chanting with me. Om, I invoke the benzo time and like strength of us all to a mind well trained in love and letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. Testing, good. Okay, here we go. Let us take a moment to consider this statue of two Buddhas doing the hibbity-dibbity. This could be described in Sanskrit as Vajrasarva Karma Mudra, or in Tibetan as Dorje Sampa Yabhyam, or in English as Diamond Mind Mother and Father. The iconography of this yadam, or archetype of enlightenment, functions only to organize 8 metaphors, or similes, necessary for deeply transformative mantra contemplation. So our job is not to believe a new set of mythology. Our job is just to play with figures of speech in a way that helps us become the person that our dog already thinks we are. Let's start with love and letting go, which is known by many names, such as generation stage tantra or creation stage tantra. Oh, yeah, I can do that. That'll work. Okay. We're going to begin with love's right wishes, which could help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies. Please chant with me. May all minds of all beings now be as peaceful and wise as our Buddha's mind, symbolized by our one syllable mantra known as a seed or bija mantra. So this is our first compound simile. Now, there's many ways, many people can chant mantra, but it's better to contemplate mantra. How do we do that? During our in-breath, we silently and mentally recite a loving wish. During our exhalation, while we're chanting the mantra, we physically relax as best we can. Here's the good news. We don't have to do the hard work of visualizing or emoting or believing. If all we do is play with these words in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we will make progress on the path. It's just that simple. Om benza sato hung, om benza sato hung, om benza sato hung, om benza sato hung. Give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. There are plenty of regressive, superstitious, controlling people who will tell you that this is a supernatural thing and you need supernatural blessings. No, you don't. It's totally easy. You don't need supernatural blessings. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. May all relationships of all beings be as joyful and loving as a Buddha's communication symbolized by the six-syllable mantra. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a Yidam floor and archetype of enlightenment. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. May all circumstances of all beings now be as safe and fortunate as a Buddha's paradise, pure land of hearty of lore. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Oopsie, I am over here. Sorry about that, kids. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Excuse me. We're going to shift gears now from love to letting go, which could help us to leapfrog over our clinging tendencies. How is it that as we inhale, our circumstances could appear quite vivid, yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a cloudless sky or a vati of light? Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Excuse me. How is it that as we inhale our bodies could feel quite sensual, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as not graspable as a vast empty void or a yedam of light? Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of communication could be quite resounding, yet as we relax into our exhalation it could feel as non-graspable as a cloudless sky or a mantra of light? Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. Umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung, umenza sato hung. How is it that as we inhale we could perceive our mind's functions quite clearly, yet as we relax into our exhalation they could feel as not graspable as a vast empty void or a bija of light? Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung, omenza sato hung. Having completed 128 repetitions of this six-syllable mantra, we turn away from mantra contemplation and towards silent contemplation and meditation. Let's begin with bliss and letting go, known by many names such as completion stage. We're going to begin by reviewing the love contemplations we just played with, only these will be the silent version. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally, during our in-breath, we could silently and mentally recite wisdom, peace. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite for all minds. Let's play with this right now. Our next 4 sets of silent contemplations will have as their common denominator the dance of impermanence and interdependence. One by one, we're going to bring the 4 bases of mindfulness into that dance. We're going to begin with circumstances. We will use the verb melt as a metaphor of impermanence, the contemplation of which can help us to leapfrog over our clinging tendencies. We shall use this inference, the basic sentences, into form all lots melt. So we're going to use this inference of absorption as a metaphor of interdependence, one thing affecting another, or one thing affecting both. And we're going to use that as a metaphor of interdependence to help us to leapfrog over our competitive tendencies, understanding that competition undermines universal well-being. We're all in this together. If you've just joined this morning's live stream, welcome aboard. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, simply type them in great detail in the chat window. So during our in-breath, we could silently and mentally recite into form. And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite all lots melt. We're using the word lot as a monosyllabic synonym for circumstance. We're using the word form as a monosyllabic synonym for bodies. Now clearly, or this might not be clear, our job is not to visualize. Our job is not to believe or reason. All we're doing is playing with words, silently and mentally, in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation. And ironically enough, that's enough to increase the wisdom that breeds peace. So this is a simplification of the highest yoga tantra exercise, where we play with the idea that all lands of all beings could blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into all bodies, and then all bodies of beings blissfully melt into rainbow light that absorbs into their speech faculty, and then their speech faculty blissfully melts into rainbow light that absorbs into our mind, and our mind, which is now the union of all minds of all beings, blissfully melts into rainbow light and absorbs into vast empty space. This is just a metaphor. Why do we play with bizarro metaphors? Because vertebrate life forms on this planet evolved to think symbolically. And the cool thing is we can be lazy and not actively visualize. Just playing with these words in harmony with our breathing is enough to, it's like dropping blueberries into a smoothie. It instantly changes the color of the smoothie. We switch now from the circumstantial to the physical. And from the physical to the interpersonal. Speech is a metaphor of the interpersonal because communication, both verbal and nonverbal, is the stuff with which relationships are built, or out of which relationships are built. We switch gears now from the interpersonal to the mental. There is no mystery. Mind is simply that which perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. We switch gears now from contemplation to meditation. This particular meditation, or during this particular meditation, during our in-breath, we will notice various sensations passively. And during each exhalation, we'll find ourselves relaxing into those sensations' non-graspable nature. And that might seem highfalutin, so here's how we'll do it. During the in-breath, we will silently and mentally recite Seed of Bliss. And during each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing. It's not our job to visualize or force ourselves to feel something, physically or emotionally. If all we do is silently and mentally play with these words in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we will make progress on the path. Welcome to this morning's live stream. When you have questions, any question at all about meditation or philosophy, type it in great detail in the chat window. We're going to shift gears now from the meditation of bliss and letting go to that of awareness and letting go, which is known by many names such as Great Completion Stage. As a preliminary practice to that, we're going to perform some silent love meditations and some silent letting go meditations. So we're going to begin with love. And as we breathe in, we're going to silently and mentally recite wisdom, peace. And as we breathe out, we're going to silently and mentally recite for all minds. And so we're wishing, as we're lovingly wishing that each mind of each being enjoy the peace of wisdom. Now, we don't have to pretend we're Gandalf the Grey. We don't have to work magic. We don't have to visualize. We don't have to emote. We don't have to believe. All we got to do is silently and mentally recite these words in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation and relaxation. If that is all we do, we will make progress on the path. So as during your in-breath, try to sit as tall as you can. During your out-breath, try to relax. And here's the funny thing, we're already wired to do those things. So all you're really doing is harmonizing your intention, your will, your volition with the factory-installed instructions of your autonomic nervous system. Same idea, we're just changing scope. We're going from the mental to the interpersonal, wishing that each being's experience of the interpersonal would be joyfully loving. Why do we use speech as a metaphor of the interpersonal? Because our experience of the interpersonal, be it professional, personal, platonic, or intimate, is based on communication, both verbal and nonverbal. We're now going to bring the physical into the path of love, wishing optimal health, beautiful health for all bodies of all beings, real or imagined. And now we bring circumstance into the path of love, wishing optimal good fortune for all circumstances of all beings. And some people get confused and they ask, I thought we're not supposed to have desire. But when we read the Buddha's teachings, there's something called right aspiration. So what we're supposed to do is train our hearts in love, wishing love, that wishes well for all minds, all communication, all bodies, all circumstances. That can be called bringing the four bases of mindfulness into the path of love. So it's not that we're not supposed to love, it's that we're supposed to feel what we feel without being slaves to what we feel. So in the in-breath we notice, and the out-breath we let go or relax. That is what we are wired to do. Every time we breathe in, our sympathetic nervous system notices. And every time we exhale, our parasympathetic nervous system relaxes. So all we're really doing is harmonizing our intention with our factory installed wiring. Having meditated on love, we now meditate on letting go. And there's a little bit of a figure of speech I'll do my best to explain. This could be described as the union of awareness and acquiescence. So during the in-breath, we're going to play with a rhetorical question. And during the in-breath, we silently and mentally recite the first half. During the out-breath, we mentally and silently recite the second half. How are lots, how are circumstances, seen yet void? Well, what do we mean by this funny word void? Well, here's how it works. As I mentioned a few moments ago, every time we breathe out, we are already wired to physically relax and mentally release. All we're doing is putting that latent tendency to work. Every time we breathe in, we are already wired to notice our circumstance. And every time we breathe out, that exact same circumstance could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, what's a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite sky? If you set out a blanket, lie on your back, and look in the sky, in the morning, before the sun's at high noon, on a cloudless day, the sky would look rather infinite. And you might reach out and try to grab the sky, but no matter how hard you try, you won't pull away any blue. So that means it's tantalizing yet non-graspable. So that is a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void. By playing with these words in harmony with our inhalation, exhalation, and relaxation, we will get better and better at letting go. That's the simple task at hand. Let's play with this. I apologize if I had a scary motor tick. Now, when we use the word clear here, all we mean is that our mind's functions appear clearly to us. We're able to clearly perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We're able to perceive emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings rather clearly. And now, having contemplated both love and letting go, it's time for a special meditation, the meditation of awareness and letting go, where during the in-breath we notice mind and its play, and during our exhalation we relax into mind's non-graspable nature, which is really much easier than it sounds. During the in-breath we could silently and mentally recite, notice this, And during our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing. Let's contemplate the four truths that turn the mind to the teachings from a distinctly progressive perspective. We're going to play with four rhetorical questions. How could this feel stressful? How could this have causes? How could this never last? And now let us return to awareness and letting go. Let us seal our practice with 4 chants, beginning with the chant of universal liberation. May I, like Diamond Mind, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate others. Let's perform the chant of ethics. May all beings practice of kind communication, conduct, and calmness, flow spontaneous and uncontrived. And now the chant of impermanence, zeal, and love. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. And finally, we'll conclude with the 4 immeasurables. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy, may no one be separated from the happiness, may everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel I have earned it, please type something in the chat window. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it on social media. In about 2.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's mid-morning meditation. Until we meet again, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.